episode 27 of the Belleville Sens podcast. It's our Season 1 finale, as we're just about a month and a half away from the start of the regular season in the American Hockey League. David Foote here. Joel Vanderlaan is back from vacation to be here for the season finale. We wouldn't have had it any other way, and we're glad you're with us as well, wherever you are listening to this week's episode. Some big news this week. Single game tickets are on sale as of this morning. That is Thursday, August 31st. And you can get those via Ticketmaster. You can head to BellevilleSens.com, or you can email tickets at BellevilleSens.com for more details. It is first half only. Games up to January the 20th are on sale. And you'll be able to get access to the second half of the season in November. But if you are looking ahead, you want to get your hands on those second half tickets now, you can buy a flex pack, a group package, or a season seat membership, and you can skip the line and pick those tickets ahead for the second half. Again, BellevilleSens.com for all the details. That is the big headline today, Joel, that single game tickets are on sale, and just another box to check that means we're getting a little bit closer to hockey.
Yeah, it really is, and I know that the ticket sales team's ecstatic with that, and it's kind of a touch point, right? Like you mentioned, it's okay, single games are on, it's getting real now. The ice is back in the rink as well, so hockey's just right around the corner, and like you said, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Promo dates coming out as well. I believe it's like 28 promo games that we'll have this season. Some of them featuring jerseys, some of them featuring giveaways, and some of them featuring other special activities and activations. So stay tuned to the Sens social media at Belleville Sens for all of that info as it trickles out over the coming weeks. Again, this is the season finale, and with that in mind, our guest this week will be the head coach of the Belleville Sens. Dave Bell will join us, and we'll fill you in that Season 2 is going to kick off at the end of September. Joel and I will head to Ottawa for their training camp for a couple days. We're going to record Episode 1 of Season 2 out at Ottawa training camp, so lots to look forward to on that front. You hear a little bit of action behind us. We are at the McFarland's Pub at CAA Arena. Some renovations, improvements, facade improvements being done in the broadcast booth, so we have shifted locations. But again, the ice is in, the Zamboni's rolling around, the medical staff were doing some on-ice training this morning. It is that close. We can smell the start of the season, and we'll have lots to talk about with the coach when he comes on. But with it being the season finale, we figured maybe we'd make this a little bit of a retrospective, looking back on the past season and I guess the off season a little bit as well. Overall, not the best year for the Belleville Sens, a playoff miss, in a season that really was a tough one for this club. A lot went wrong, a lot went right as well, but at the end of the day, it didn't balance out the way the Sens would have wanted. Overall, Joel, how did you feel about this season for the Belleville Sens?
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, the first half of the season kind of felt like you were trudging through mud a little bit, right, with the injuries and the recalls and all that. And then I think you got a little bit of hope at the end there, and the way the team started to play under David Bell and kind of the maturation of some of these prospects. And Roby Arventi started playing center, and you could kind of see some glimpses of him kind of growing into his body and into the pro he wants to be. And some of these guys that Levi Merlainen came over and stellar. I think it was pretty cool there at the end when Levy got his shutout and then Mark St. Clair got his shutout in consecutive home games in their AHL debut. So there's glimpses, and there's some good storylines that we went through this season. And Max Gannett, another guy, just looking at the roster here, a guy that set franchise records in single seasons for points and assists by a defenseman. So there's a lot to like. I think there's a lot to be hopeful for with a lot of these younger players. And then you look at kind of what Ryan Bonus was able to do this offseason and bring in these key veteran guys that are, of course, are going to fight for roles in Ottawa, but if not, they're going to be here. They're going to be stars, to say the least, in Matthew Highmore, Josh Curry, Boko Mama. I think is a guy that a lot of fans are excited to see if he ends up here as well. So I think, and when we talk to David Bell, I think he's going to say a lot of that. The start of the season was tough, and I think it weighed on a lot of people, and obviously there were some changes that needed to be made, and But I think that second half, and especially that last couple months, really gave some people some hope and a little bit of a glimmer of what this organization and this franchise can be.
Yeah, and really from March onwards, the Sens had a really good run. Only 4 losses in regulation time in the last 2 months of the season. But again, that slow start is really what caught them at the end of the day. Just not enough points in the hopper for the Sens to be able to qualify for even the play-in round this season. But lots to build on, and you mentioned a lot of good development from guys like Roby Urvente and Igor Sokolov. A bit of a not a down year, but a quiet year maybe for a guy like Cole Reinhardt, who I think a lot will be expected of this season, and we'll talk to Coach Bell about some of those players that he's hoping to see break out of their shell in the new campaign. Any games that stand out to you in terms of memorable nights? I mean, I'm just looking at the schedule right now. There was that 8-7 thriller in the shootout against Cleveland back in November. There was a nice run of points again in early March that saw the Sens pick up wins over Rockford, Rochester, and Laval. I did a radio interview with Mark and Charity at Hits 95.5 this morning, and we kind of talked a little bit about the Laval-Belleville rivalry and teeing up the home opener, and I said to them, it wasn't much of a rivalry last year. Maybe the first couple of games, but the Sens really did have the Rockets' number, and that, I think, for me, in terms of how you perform in the division and against those rivalry teams, that was a real high point.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, too, when you look back at that season series, you have to be pretty happy with the way that went, and I think there's games that stick out. That 8-7 game, obviously, a barn burner to say the least, and guys scoring left and right, and back and forth lead changes. That was pretty exciting to be a part of, and I think I remember, too, games that there was a game in January, and Belleville was starting out on their road trip, and they're going to Springfield, and they stopped in Laval first, and it was a tight back and forth game. Laval took a lead pretty early, I think late in the first, and it was kind of one of those slow rolling type defensive games, masterclass games, and Jake Lucchini scores in the third period, and then it's like, okay, they get back, they tie it. It's still the game. It's just trudging along, and Scott Savern ends up winning it in overtime, and that was when Belleville, I think, really started to make that push. Mm-hmm. That game sticks out to me. There's a couple games here and there, I think. Couple road games late, that Wilkes-Barre game when it was
just looking at that one. Cole Reinhardt had actually back-to-back game winners on that road trip, 2-1 in overtime, that game against Wilkes-Barre, and seems like every time the Sens and Pens get together, the games tend to go that way, just tightly contested back and forth, and then he had the winner in Hershey the following night, which sets the Sens up for a return to Chocolatetown to start the season coming up. We'll get to that in a moment. But, just a good road trip there. And it's tough to think back over, 72 games and pick a few out. But those are definitely a couple that have come to the top of mind. Yeah.
And I think, too, and when you play 72 games, right, there's you try to think back on each moment, and they kind of blend together. And but also there is moments of brilliance that shine through, and there's some goals you remember. Some I think in Hershey, Jake Lucchini scored that goal, and there's just moments of brilliance through it all, and when you look back on it, it's pretty special to think about that as well.
Obviously, you mentioned Levi Marilainen a little bit earlier on. The goaltending was really the story from start to finish last season, with injuries and some outstanding performances as well. And it'll be interesting to see how the goaltending battle shapes up here in Belleville moving forward, with likely Eunice Corpusalo and Anton Forsberg taking the reins in Ottawa. It leaves Mads Sogard, Levi Marilainen, Kevin Mandalese, and Mark Sinclair all kind of battling for 2 spots here, 2 spots in Allen. And for me, at least now looking into preseason and training camp, that's going to be something to watch closely, I think, heading into early October.
Yeah, I think that, and I think when you look at what happened last year with the amount of goalies that came through here and all that kind of hullabaloo, I guess you could say, with that, and I think that's going to be a key for this franchise, is having that stability. And Mark Sinclair, he shined in his game here and was very good with the Cincinnati Cyclones as well. And then obviously the prospects, people know about them and the workload they've been able to put in through their young careers. So I think that for Justin Peters and David Bell, I think that's going to relieve a little bit of a headache, knowing that you have those guys and you have that kind of depth. And same for Allen. I think they got to be thrilled that they know that they're going to have those types of goaltenders available to them throughout the course of a season.
Yeah, interesting for Mark Sinclair because he played, 2 games, right? He got in the one road game and then that shutout overtime loss as well. You wonder how much those brief performances played into him getting this contract with the Sens for the upcoming season. It doesn't take much sometimes.
No, and I think that's the thing, right? And I think it's a lot of it has to do with the trustability and knowing that, okay, we can trust this guy. He's going to prepare well. He's going to come in and do the right things. And I think for him, I think he's pretty happy. He's from the Dundas-Hamilton area, so to come to Belleville and try to compete for a spot here, he's got to be happy with that location and being close to home. So I think it's kind of a match made in heaven for both the franchise and the player.
Again, we'll talk with head coach David Bell about that and more in just a couple minutes as we continue on episode number 27, the Belleville Sens podcast, our season finale. We know who the team award winners were. Do you agree with any of those? Would you make any changes to any of the team awards that were handed out? I think they were on the money this year.
I think so, and I think if you kind of look at it, I think you can be nitpicky right about anything. I think people tend to be, but no, I think they were pretty much on the money, and I think they got a pretty good raps on the things that are going on downstairs and the players that are being awarded these awards. So, I think this year it was really cool to see some of those younger guys get the honors. Angus Crookshank, Rookie of the Year, and Dylan Hetherington for his leadership getting awarded. So, I think it was a really good award ceremony, and it's always cool to see that at the end of the season, those guys collecting those awards at center ice from Ryan Bonus and some of the corporate sponsors.
Yeah, those were the highlights from last season, and plenty of highlights to come this year as well. One highlight off the ice right now, aside from single-game tickets going on sale, is that we've got a big merch clear-out going on at the Belleville Sens locker room store, and until September 20th, up to 50% off merchandise, things like T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, that sort of stuff. Jerseys are excluded, but if you're looking to load up for the upcoming season, now is the time. Again, shop.bellevillesens.com if you want to shop online, and you can pop in the Wellness Center as well and see if the locker room store is open too. Online, probably your best bet, though, if you want to get that shopping done immediately. We'll take a real short break. The head coach of the Belleville Sens joins us next. David Bell is next on the season finale of the Belleville Sens podcast, Season 1. Stick around, will you?
Enjoy a night out at a Belleville Senators game with your group. The Belleville Senators home opener is set for October 21st, 2023. Group or premium ticket experiences are on sale now. If you purchase soon, you'll be entered to win a special group experience prize. To learn more about group and premium experiences, visit their website at bellevillesens.com or email them tickets@bellevillesens.com. Because there's nothing like seeing the Sens with your friends.
Continuing on the season finale of Season 1 of the Belleville Sens podcast, David Foote, Joel Vanderlaan here, and extremely excited to be joined by the head coach of the Belleville Sens. Dave Bell is with us to chat a little bit about the season gone by and a little bit about the season upcoming. Good to see you, Coach. Thanks for taking some time for us.
Thanks for having me, boys.
How has the offseason been so far before we get into some thoughts and memories on last season?
Well, that's a long-winded question or answer, but
Sure.
overall it's been good. It's been some good quality family time, some getting organized and getting ready for the season and starting to build some excitement.
I know we were back at CJBQ a month or two ago, and you got a lot of the same questions that maybe we're going to ask as well, but how much different has this offseason been for you moving into the new role as head coach?
Oh, significantly different. Obviously, hiring some new staff members and then just being a part of the conversation as far as bringing in new players and then implementing new things, whether it's in the dressing room or even just day-to-day operations here, changes we're making. So having more input and decision-making with the logistics of how the season's going to run for us.
Yeah, it must be nice to kind of be able to put your fingerprints on the roster a little bit more.
I think it's nice. I mean, those guys do an unbelievable job. We got scouts that scour the arenas all year long and put in reports. So, you put full trust and faith in those guys. And it's nice to have be asked your opinion, which I love to give. You guys know that. And then, they make the best decision. And then whatever comes through that door, it's my job to put the best product on the ice.
And we'll chat about some of those guys in a little bit as well.
Yeah, kind of the next touch point in the offseason's rookie camp, the rookie showcase in Buffalo. You're going to lead that. What does that mean to you to kind of have that kind of leeway and that kind of influence on these young players?
Well, it's exciting. We just had a Zoom call yesterday with the development staff and Don Boyd and just talked about the players that are going to come and the expectations and what we think is going to come out of that camp that might earn a spot into main camp or trickle down to Belleville. So it'll be nice to get some eyeballs on these guys and work with them for that. It's a quick tournament. I mean, just a quick touch in Ottawa and then off to Buffalo. So it'll be short, but that's what it is. It's an addition for those guys and see what comes out of it.
How big is a tournament or a camp like this for a guy like Phil Daou that hasn't played since early November? I know a player that you've seen glimpses of throughout your coaching career, but to get him kind of back into the flow of things.
It's big for Phil. I think for a guy, Phil in particular, coming off a season where he lost it to injury and didn't play a lot of hockey, I think it's a good progression step for him to wean himself in. And it's a discussion I had with Phil, go in there and bump and bang around with 17, 18-year-old kids before you go to main camp and have to run into Brady Tkachuk. So, to go out there cold turkey and start smashing around with the big NHL boys, I think it's a good first step for him to get back to full-blown hockey.
Again, a reminder, we are inside CAA Arena right now. The ice is in. The rink is in use, so a little bit of background noise for our season finale here. We're with the coach, Dave Bell. Phil is obviously one of those guys that is going to be under the microscope a little bit because of that comeback that he's on. Who else do you think is in a really crucial season this year?
Well, I can't answer that one, David,
Okay.
because
we don't know who's going to be here.
I don't know who's going to be
Yeah.
here. And you know what? There's some guys that are on American Hockey League contracts that, that will be here. It's Saulniers and the McPhees of the world. So, those guys will be looking for bigger roles. And I think, if they earn it, that's great. And I think the thing we have this year that we haven't had in the past here, and in my experience here, is the depth. They've signed depth, so there is going to be competition for spots. So I think finally guys aren't being gifted spots up the lineup or on special teams. They're going to have to earn them. And when you have that situation, I think it's better for everybody, especially for me, when you've created competition and there's multiple people that are capable of playing in certain roles or playing certain minutes, that brings the best out of everybody, so that's a great thing.
So is that more of a challenge, I guess, in preparing for the season, given that you're not going to get a roster until about a week before the season begins?
No, I think because everybody, we're going to have, if they trickle down here, maybe 3 or 4 first-year guys. So other than that, the guys that'll be here have either played here before or played in the American Hockey League. So playing the American Hockey League, you play in the American Hockey League. You know what to expect. You know the buildings, you know the pace, you know the travel. So it's not a great big learning curve for outside of maybe 3 or 4 guys, which you can hopefully insulate those guys and let them find their way as the guys that have been here before lead the way at the start.
for some of these guys that are going to make the jump from junior to the American Hockey League, throughout the summer, do you watch tape on them from their junior days, like a Tyler Boucher? Or do you talk to his coaches, James Boyd, and some of these guys in Ottawa to get a feel for them, or do you kind of let them kind of go through the maturation process?
I talked to James and Dave Cameron just about the kind of person he is and how they've coached them and how they get the best out of them. But as far as watching footage of them, completely different game. Goals are scored in areas in the OHL, in his instance, that wouldn't be scored in the American Hockey League, so not necessarily translates to where he's going to be successful and how he's going to be successful in the American League. But definitely, anything you can get on a player as far as speeding up the process of learning how to motivate him or how to teach him or how to correct him. I have spoken with Dave Cameron and James Boyd in that instance.
For you, how exciting is that to get some of these younger guys in here and kind of their youthful exuberance and kind of get that into the locker room as well?
I think it's great. I mean, losing some energy guys. Jake Lucchini was a ball of energy in the dressing room, and Sabby was a ball of energy in the dressing room. So to bring in some young guys, and I think good teams, they get energized with that youth and the injection. You see it in different sports, and when young guys come in, and it just pushes the pace in practice, and it gets everybody in a happier mood. And those grumpy old guys that have to go home to maybe watch the kids because mom's been with them all morning, maybe bumps their energy up a bit, so it's a good thing.
A guy I wanted to ask you about is Max Gannett. He had a breakout season. You were his positional coach. What did you see from him kind of coming in, 7th round pick, and played in the NHL last year, was the captain of the Rookie Showcase? Where did you kind of know that or see from him that, okay, he's on the right trajectory here?
Confidence. Max came in, and he's a quiet young man, very polite, very soft-spoken guy, but conversations we had one-on-one, he was certainly very, very driven to prove that he belonged, was very motivated to show he belonged, and had a I'll show you attitude, which I think he had to have being a later round pick. He understood and knows how the game works. That first round pick, that second round pick is going to get multiple chances, multiple looks, and Max needed to prove himself over and over again to catch up and to maybe even pass some of those higher picks to get that late season call up that was more than deserved. So I think it was a confidence thing and just a focus that he had something to prove, and he proved it last year.
Do you think he was the captain at the Rookie Showcase in Buffalo last season? Do you think something like that can help to spur on a player, or maybe it did in his case?
I think so. I mean, I remember we bring him in and telling him that, this is something that we think you can handle, and we know you can play against this group, being the other team's rookies. So to instill that confidence in him before the puck drop, maybe it helped him, and I think he just carried it on right through the entire season.
I know you're not huge on goaltenders and goaltending, so I'm not going to ask for too many specifics, but how intriguing is the goaltending situation right now in the organization when you look at basically two guys probably set in Ottawa and then the youthfulness that we still have in the crease in the organization? It's going to be an interesting camp, I think.
Interesting? I'm interested in the guy that stops the puck. That's the guy I'll be interested in, and if one guy stops it, it won't be interesting at all because he'll be in the net.
Fair enough. Well, for everybody else, maybe they'll be more intrigued. We're chatting with Dave Bell. Things are going to heat up here real soon with the Ottawa camp as well. When do you guys head out to Ottawa?
I'm going to go to Ottawa probably the weekend, September 7th, 8th, 9th, whatever that is there. DJ staff will be there just to go over, systematic stuff and get ready to go. And then I believe the guys start coming into Ottawa on that Tuesday night, I believe, and maybe some medicals and physicals. I'm not exactly sure. Mm-hmm. And then obviously head off to Buffalo on Thursday. So it's a quick get in, get your equipment, get your heart and pulse checked, and away we go off to Buffalo.
How nice will it be to have your staff back here as well, and of course Nathan McIver joining the group as well. What's he going to bring? And how nice will it be to get all your guys back?
It'll be great. I mean, I'm just about sick of Zoom calls and phone calls and text messages. To get in there and just it's just like the players. You get into the room, and you banter, and you make fun of each other, and you go out for beers or waters, whatever you want to have at night, and just talk hockey. But Nathan we were fortunate enough to get him into development camp, and what he's going to bring is, I think you guys had him on the show, is that experience and that conversation he went through, being an American League player, getting called up, the highs of getting called up, the lows of getting sent down. How do you react when you get sent down here? How do you get yourself recalled back up? And just being a real pro in that process. So he's done that. He's done it multiple times. So that's an element that I think I'm going to use, and he's going to be leaned on a lot for, to have those conversations with players when they're coming up and down. But again, he's a guy that knows how to defend, played the game, has taught the game for multiple years now. And any young defenseman coming into this league and wanting to make the jump to the NHL, the first thing required for them is to learn how to defend. It's not to run a power play. It's not to join the rush. It's to defend, and I think he's going to be a great teacher with that.
Just on adding what's that process like, and how does it maybe compare to like a typical job hunt? Are there tons of candidates you got to sift through? Like how do you get from A to B with hiring a coach?
That probably took up the most part of my summer until that was done. I can't even tell you how many resumes and phone calls and text messages I got. I know, because I have it recorded, that I telephone interviewed, Zoom interviewed, or in-person interviewed 28 guys.
Wow.
So then then you just wean it down to a couple, and they repeat another interview process, and then you finally come to a decision. But it was a long process, but I think it's an important process to get the right people. A lot of background checks, a lot of reference checks, just phoning around. Hockey's a super small world. You find out a lot of things about guys, and in Nathan's case, you phone around on different guys, and everybody has great reports on guys, but usually there's that one person or two, maybe he's so. I can honestly say I could not find a person. I made it a goal to try to find somebody to say something bad about Nathan, and I had to give up because I just couldn't find anybody to say anything bad about him as a person or as a hockey guy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You've been here 4 seasons now. We talk about the responsibilities of a head coach on the ice, off the ice. This summer you were busy serving coffees, reading books at the local library. How big is that, the community aspect of this as well?
Well, I think it's huge. I think it's huge for the organization, and I think it's huge for the young guys coming in, and it's part of your development. It's an expectation that's put on you, and maybe they don't realize it, but it's a privilege. It's a privilege. When you're done playing, it goes away real quick, and not even to influence. I don't say so much, because that's a slippery slope. To help, just to help, to go help, whether it's at United Way or to go help at a shelter or to go help at the hospital. I'm not talking influencing people and platforms and all this stuff, just to help. When you get the opportunity and you're asked to help, and you have the ability and you have the needs and you have the assets to go help. And I'm going to instill that in the guys, that's a big piece of being on our team. We are a team, we're a group, we're a family, and we're part of a small community. And I think it's important to be in the community. And from a coaching aspect of it, I think it holds the guys a little bit more accountable too. Like they have a great game, go out in the community and get patted on the back and get rewarded. If you have a poor game, get out in the community, be accountable, and answer the hard question of why you weren't very good last night. So they're not going to be able to hide in the dressing room and in their homes. They're going to be out in the community and part of it.
And obviously that work has paid off. The Sens winning the Eastern Conference Community Service Award at the team business meetings, and without the players and your staff doing that, we obviously wouldn't have that success, and it is so important, especially here in this, like you say, small community, in terms of getting people connected with the team. So a thanks for that, and a thanks in advance for all the work that your guys are going to put in this season coming up.
No, I think obviously going through the yearly calendar, we've got a lot of appearances, which are going to be great. A lot of school visits are going to be great. As the calendar's been filled in, it's going to be a busy year, but I think we've spaced them out, and I think it's going to be great. Some new things we've done this year, some old things that we look to do better jobs at and improve on. We're always looking to improve, but I think it's going to be a good season off the ice as well as on the ice.
Is there any one thing you're most excited for to get things going?
Yeah, the first game.
That's it. And that will be in Hershey on October the 14th. The home opener's on October 21st here against the rival Laval Rocket. Tickets are on sale now. You can head to Ticketmaster.ca or BellevilleSens.com to get them. Dave Bell, head coach of the Belleville Sens, thank you for your time, sir. Looking forward to getting things going here.
Sounds good. Me too, boys.
We will take a short break, and when we come back, Joel and I will wrap up the season finale of Season 1 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Stick with us.
The Belleville Senators have launched the new Business Elite program for the 2023-24 season. This program is a season seat membership program for businesses, providing promotional value while allowing them to get the best value on tickets to all Senators home games and to give more opportunities for their employees and customers to experience American Hockey League action firsthand. To learn more and register your business today, visit their website at BellevilleSens.com or email them at tickets@BellevilleSens.com.
Final segment of the final episode of Season 1 of the Belleville Sens podcast, episode 27, if you're keeping track. And thanks to everyone who's tuned into the show over the course of our first season. We appreciate the support, and we're really excited to get season number 2 rolling in just a few weeks when we head out to Ottawa for Sens training camp for a couple of days at least. Big thanks to the coach, Dave Bell, for dropping by and spending some time with us. He and son Nolan and the rest of the family are off to Niagara this weekend as the Quinte Royal U11s take part in the Ontario Provincial Championships for baseball. Eastern Ontario champs in a rout, and now they'll be up against some stiff competition. So we send Coach Bell and the Royals the best of luck as they head out to Niagara Falls this weekend. Always nice to sit down with Bellsy and get some insight on, I guess, everything he's been doing this summer. We're going to ask him the same questions next offseason, and I can't imagine it'll be anywhere near as wild as this one has been for him. First getting that interim tag removed, then having to go through the process of getting settled, and then hiring a coach, which sounded like an incredibly difficult process. It's been a real busy few months for Dave Bell, and seems to be handling it in stride.
I think when you look at this is kind of the administration a role of being a head coach, right? And I think he's taken to that part of it just as much as he's taken to running a bench, and I think that's a really good sign for this organization.
Anything stick out to you in his chat today?
I think he's pretty even keeled. I think we've gotten to know him over the last year or so, and I think it's kind of on point from what he's saying. He's focused on game 1 of the season and getting his team ready for that. And there's some pit stops along the way, rookie camp and NHL training camp. But I think he uses every opportunity to help these players grow, develop, and get ready to win some hockey games. And obviously, as you know, a really driven individual and a guy that really wants to win and win for this community as well. And
you get a real sense of kind of what we've been talking about in recent weeks when we're trying to figure out what a roster might look like and to preview how the season might go. And when the head coach doesn't even have a clue, it makes it that much difficult. And I shouldn't say that. I'm sure he has a clue. I'm sure there's a little something in there that's not being slipped through media availabilities, but either way, difficult process, and you talk about hitting the ground running. You got to hit the ground sprinting come October 1st when the Belleville Sens open training camp. Yeah, you do, and I think too, and he touched on it in his interview, right? He's talking to these guys, junior coaches. He's talking to guys that know these players, so he knows when he gets them at rookie camp, when he gets them at training camp, what they want to do, do they take feedback this way or that way? So he's getting all that homework done. So like you mentioned, he's hitting the ground running, and that opening night in Hershey, this team's ready to go. And I think that just kind of shows the offseason and how much work this coaching staff is still putting in. There's no real break for these guys, and I think
as a fan, I think you really want to hear that. As an organization, you want to hear how much work and how much studying they are actually putting into this.
Speaking of the fans, another reminder that single-game tickets are now on sale, Ticketmaster.ca, BellevilleSens.com, and I think regardless of the players that end up here, this group is going to have an identity that is very similar to what started to develop at the end of last season after Dave Bell took over. This will be a gritty team, a team that is difficult to play against, likely a team that is extremely physical, and I don't want to say defensive-minded because that makes it seem like you're not trying to score goals, but there will obviously be a focus on that. And then you've got some veteran guys up front now that will hopefully help with that offensive output too.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the American Hockey League signings, the guys that you know are going to be here, Brendan Saulnier, Graham McPhee, that speaks to the identity of what they want to do and what kind of forecheck they want to implement and being hard on pucks, heavy on pucks. And like you mentioned, some of these guys are going to squeak through NHL waivers and guys that don't make Ottawa. And if some of these names are here that were signed to two-way NHL deals, it's going to be a pretty potent offense if Matthew Highmore and Josh Curry and some of these guys get down here and are able to kind of do what they've done and kind of speaking to their track record of being really good American Hockey League offensive players.
Again, no more insight on the goaltending picture from the coach, so we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front, really the entire lineup. But we can confirm, like Belsey said, that the community programming is going to be back in place and expanded this year. We're already running with Belly's Book Club at 17 libraries around the region. The birthday club is coming back. We've got some new stuff to be announced soon in terms of programming for our younger fans. So while we can't tell you as much about the roster, we can tell you that off the ice and around CAA Arena, a lot is changing, a lot is happening, and we're really looking forward to bringing that programming back to the fans and to welcoming fans back into the rink to see exactly what's changed.
Yeah, I just got a little sneak peek here. I was off on vacation, and to come in and see the wraps and some of the signage around the rink, it's outstanding. And like you mentioned, the community program's just taken off. And a big credit to the organization in the front office and as well to the coaching staff and players that put a lot of time in this. And it's not something that this organization takes lightly. I think you mentioned the award that was won for community relations and the school visits, the time, the hours, signing autographs, reading books. David Bell's packing backpacks for students so they have the necessary equipment to go back to school next week, or serving coffees to help raise money for local charities. And it's something that I think, as much as the hockey is fun and entertaining, this organization is also here to help better the Bay of Quinte region, and I think that's something that's going to continue to take off. Yeah,
and trying to dispel this myth that has kind of lingered over the years that the Belleville Senators are not a community team, and that could be further from the truth as proof by the coach. And like he said, we just want to help. Just help out. Make your community better. Make the people around you better, and that's the goal. That's why we're here, and hopefully that spin-off will be felt throughout the community. Again, not just in the wintertime, because Braden DeVries and the summer crew were out all summer as well. And, we really are trying to show people that, we're here for the long haul, and we want to be here. We love being a part of this community, and along with being able to provide top-quality entertainment on the ice, we're able to provide some of that community support off the ice as well. So it's so important. Again, if you want to learn more about our community programming, head to BellevilleSens.com, the newly revamped, of course, BellevilleSens.com, and there is a community tab, which has more on our community impact. You can put a request in if you want to get Belly or our staff, perhaps players, out to your event throughout the season. Info on the All-In program, Sens in School, Book Club, you name it. Again, while we can't tell you who's exactly going to be on the ice at the start of October, we can tell you that all of those programs will be happening when the season begins. We asked Dave Bell what he's looking forward to most about the new season. What about you, Joel?
I think just like we kind of mentioned, right, the community aspect of it, getting this arena filled with fans and some friendly faces and people that you see throughout the winter. You see them every Wednesday and on the weekend, right, and you don't see them for a couple months. So it'll be nice to reconnect with some of these fans and some of the loyal supporters of this hockey team. And then obviously I think it's pretty cool to be able to watch hockey and talk and write about hockey for a living. So that's
all right.
I think that's the biggest thing, right, is get back to the games, get back to the seeing the fans, and get back into the environment that we're trying to create here, and keep pushing forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season regardless of who is on the roster. And again, we hope to see you here on October 21st when the Sens open the home portion of the schedule against the Laval Rocket. We start the home portion with like a 4-game homestand, so plenty of opportunities to see the guys right off the bat. Of course, the season starts on October 14th, and that will be in Hershey against the Bears, so we'll watch them raise their banner and then try to dampen those spirits out in Chocolatetown. Stop in Lehigh Valley the next night or afternoon, I guess, and then again back here on the 21st for the home opener. More information on the home opener presented by CAA coming in the coming weeks when Joel and I are back to start Season 2 in about 3 weeks' time. We should have more information on that for you. Again, subscribe to the show if you haven't yet. Make sure you don't miss us when we return for Season 2. It's been a heck of a first season, albeit a short one. We've got a full campaign coming up with a full season of podcasts, more guests, more fun, more info, more analysis. It's all coming up on Season 2 in a couple weeks. For now, we'll say goodbye. Thanks again to Dave Bell for his time today. Thanks again to Joel Vanderlaan for helping to make this show run. I couldn't do it by myself, so I appreciate you, pal.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and as you mentioned, a really good start to this thing, and hopefully we can keep bringing this quality content to the fans.
All right, we're getting out of here. David Foote saying thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you in a few weeks on Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast.